yeah, so I'm back for the next part of my story about getting sick. So I guess we left off with me waking up in the hospital after having been on a ventilator for about 8 days. After that, I was in the hospital for another 5 or 6 days, and it was probably the worst hospital stay that anyone could ever have. As you know, my gallbladder was out, so there were limited things that I could eat. I already didn't eat beef or pork. Then I couldn't have a lot of dairy because my body was still getting used to the adjustment of having an organ removed. So I wasn't really eating anything because the entrees that didn't have beef or pork were creamy pasta dishes. Yeah, about that. You're not supposed to be eating cheese and dairy. So that was a struggle. I was also struggling with everything that was going on. Obviously, I went in there not feeling well to get the gallbladder out, and then was on a respirator for over a week. When I woke up, I was by myself, very kind of confused and disoriented. Thank God for my line sisters because they, you know, rallied up, were there with me in shifts. My brother came down from Jersey, everything. I can't thank them enough for being there for me. It just so happens, and they said they kind of figured it would happen that I would wake up when nobody was there. But that, yeah, so essentially that happened, and I was like completely confused, disoriented. But the nurses were pretty good, and they explained to me, you know, everybody had been there and so on and so forth. And actually no one ever told me how long I had been under. I figured it out because Scandal came on. And I knew that I had either seen Scandal or Scandal was supposed to have come on the week before I got sick or something like that. So craziness, right? So with that, I was still in the hospital for about a week. It was rough, and they kept saying, okay, well, you may get out tomorrow. You need to stay here another day. You may get out tomorrow. And so it kind of got to the point that I was like, well, what is going on? Like, I need somebody to tell me what is going on. Why am I still here? I don't understand. And when I don't understand something, it's an issue because I didn't get it. I knew I had to be on the oxygen and so on and so forth, but I just didn't really understand what everything was. I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll be getting better now. So they said, well, okay, we don't really know what's going on. It seems like you have pulmonary hypertension, which is blood pressure, high blood pressure in your lungs. But they didn't understand why. And they figured I'd have to go home with the oxygen for a little while until my oxygen levels increased. So after several days back and forth, me not eating, me getting sick from not eating, throwing up, all that good stuff, I finally get to go home. I'm ready to go. My homegirl Kenyon comes and picks me up, and I have a really rough night trying to get adjusted to being back in my house. It was just even a struggle getting into the house because I'm post surgery by a week, so I have like my abdomen is all cut up, and I've been on a ventilator, so my throat is very sore. I had an IV in my neck, so I have this scar here. It was actually in it twice, so that was healing. My throat was ravished. So even just coming into my apartment, I actually lived in the same complex but just in another part of the building, and I had to walk down a long flight of steps and up the flight of steps like I talked about. That was becoming hard for me, and just going down the steps was very difficult. It made me almost scared to leave my house after that because I didn't know how my body was going to be reacting. Was it getting better? Was I able to walk up and down the steps? But fortunately it was healing. So go through that, and Kenya stays with me, thank God. and I have some follow-up appointments with doctors in the coming weeks, and essentially they're filling me in on what happened while I was under, everything that essentially kind of went wrong. Started bleeding in my lungs, all kinds of stuff while I was under. So that's kind of how they found out about the pulmonary hypertension. But the pulmonary hypertension still did not make sense. Also, within like a week or two, my numbers of my oxygenation had rebounded, almost double. Still not enough to be off the oxygen, but it was abnormal. It's not usually how things go in that process. All my other numbers, as I told you before, were good. Obviously I was still overweight, but I had lost enough weight. My other tests, the cholesterol, sugar, all of that, fine. So it was just so abnormal, they couldn't figure it out. So they were thinking, okay, well, maybe this is a one-off. Maybe this is a one-time situation, so let's just give you some time to see if your body recuperates. So we gave it some time, and it was getting better, but essentially not quick enough. So I began to start to go to the doctor pretty often, but then also scheduled to go see some specialists at the University of Maryland Medical Center in Baltimore, which scared the living daylights out of me because I didn't know what they were going to find. So in between that, in August of 2014, so I got out of the hospital in March of 2014, went March through August, just not really knowing what was wrong, having doctor's appointments, still on the oxygen, still trying to adjust to being on the oxygen, not understanding why I was still on the oxygen. So it was a very difficult transition for me. Although I made the best of it, I went to New Orleans for Essence and saw Prince, and just trying to enjoy myself. But towards the end of the year, it became rough again. In August, I was calling home every day to talk to my grandma. On my drive home is when I worked in DC, and that day she was very frantic and I couldn't understand what was going on, and she finally got it out and she said, like, your mother just passed out. And so she couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She had called 911, the ambulance was coming, and so turns out she had a very major stroke, and so at that point I needed to get on the phone and call my sisters.